Hello. So in this video, I talked to the actor Robert Nairn. I worked with him back in 2013, I think it was. I cast him in a short play that was on for one night only at the Southwark Playhouse, and it was a lovely experience for everybody involved. And since then, he's had quite a journey into what is termed as creature performance. So he's done Penny Dreadful, Star Wars, and he's got a film coming out right now about a scary clown. So this is Robert. We delve into ambition because I was curious to talk to him about how he went from being a theatre actor into a screen actor. Does he miss one? Does he want to stay in one area? What's his thoughts for the future? And we really dig down into what actually ambition is about and how it can shift over our careers. Okay, click to subscribe and enjoy. And I'm just going to sit on the balcony now and enjoy the sun. Hello, Robert.
Hello.
How
Hi.
are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you for coming to talk to me today. Now,
Yeah.
you're going to talk to us about ambition. I've already given a bit of a background to people watching, how we met, what we worked on, etc., and that you uh, have done a lot of creature work over the years. And thank you for sending your photos; they're amazing, and I will share them for everybody else. Um, so, rather than unpack your CV necessarily, could you tell us about the type of work that you've made in the past, and what type of things that you've probably got coming up in the future that you're really excited about, or type of things you would like to go into? Um, yeah, tell us about stuff.
Sure. So I had, I guess, a route into the industry that is similar to many. I went to university. I actually did a biochemistry degree, so that was a bit of an start, I guess. But I'd always done school plays, student theatre all through school and uni. And then I went to drama school for 1 year. And then I moved to London and did what a lot of people do, a lot of fringe theatre, short films, just kind of getting fingers in lots of pies, getting lots of experience. And then I basically ended up falling into this world of creature performing, which I didn't really predict at all. I didn't really foresee it coming, nor did I really even know it was a thing, to be honest. I didn't know it was a branch to the industry at all. But basically this one job came along, a TV show called Penny Dreadful, where they needed someone very tall and very skinny with kind of physical stunt experience. And I got that job. And basically, long story short, that job opened doors. I met people. I kind of got a taste for this world of creature performing. And so I ended up doing a lot more, basically. So it's a range of things. I've done a lot in full body prosthetics, kind of 7 hours of makeup, or sometimes just like suits, masks that you pull on, playing all sorts of kind of creatures. I've done a bit of everything nowadays: vampires, werewolves, clowns, zombies, mutants, a lot of it. So that's been, I guess, really the majority of my work, especially on screen. I've done a lot of this creature performing, playing all sorts of demons, creatures, monsters. Alongside that, I've really tried to keep a foot in doing human roles as well, doing kind of regular acting, because that's obviously where my background was, where my heart lies. So I've done a lot of immersive theatre. That's been my other main branch of my work, and some kind of regular theatre too, and some audio work as well. So little bits of everything. But creature and immersive theatre, those have been my
And
main
then,
thing.
have you got anything particular coming up in the future that you think, yeah, I really want to explore that now? What type of work would you like to do in the future?
Well, and I guess, I mean, this will tie into what we're going to talk about next, ambition-wise, I guess. I I kind of am excited for anything. That sounds like a bit of a feeble answer, but I like to kind of see what comes next. And I guess that's in a way why I've ended up doing the creature stuff, is because I'm open to something new all the time. So I'd like something, I like things to kind of challenge me to be brand new. I would like to do a little more kind of uh, stuff as me, as human, straight up acting work, whether on theatre or on screen. It would be nice to stretch those muscles a little bit, play with that. Some kind of comedy, that would be quite fun.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, longer term, because of all this creature experience, I love it. I don't want to stop it at all. It would be nice to kind of marry the two, to kind of challenge some of the expectations some people have put before me, which is that you can't do both, and see if I can carve a little path where maybe I am playing something in prosthetics, but also with my kind of regular acting skills, dialogue, and things like that. So
Yeah. You would think you'd be able to, wouldn't you? Because you're in kind of in disguise. I mean, if I think about famous creature performers like Kane Hodder, who played the killer in Friday the 13th for what, a decade, if not more. And he did other stuff. Nobody knows it was him. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, exactly. It's a funny one though, because a lot of people say that, and I do, I completely understand. And in a way, it's a real advantage to the creature stuff because at 99.9% of the time, I'm completely unrecognizable. I'm either literally inside a big suit or so many prosthetics, you wouldn't know it's me. So that kind of has its advantages in that it doesn't necessarily brand your face to that work. But on the other hand, I'm like fiercely proud of a lot of the creature work I've done. And I don't necessarily want to hide that it's me and pretend that it's two completely separate parts, because perhaps as we'll go on to say, there's a lot of creature performing that I really consider to still be acting, to still use a lot of the skills I got from student theatre and from my training. So yeah, that's why I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what the future holds in terms of possibly marrying the two.
it could be a
But yeah,
reductive term, couldn't it? Creature. It could actually be that. Maybe that's your ambition, is to change the terminology.
yeah, yeah,
To
to really
branch out.
change the whole field. I mean, I guess the obvious thing really would be to kind of create my own work here, and I mean, like we all have, I've come up with various ideas I've written down, again, for screen and for theatre, about what you could do with this kind of corner of the industry, or with stories that you could tell with it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the industry presents
That's
next.
fascinating. You're kind of discovering your ambition as we talk. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll go to your, what I would deem a sliding doors moment, because again, we met 8 years ago, and you were probably 23 or something like that. And then obviously, because of the way industry works, you work with somebody, then you drift apart, and then you hear about how they're doing, etc., etc. And then, so I then heard that you'd got this wonderful part on Penny Dreadful, and I saw the pictures. You was like, oh my god, that's not what? That's so bizarre. He's the most gentlest person I know. So how? Just to walk us through that sliding door moment. I mean, I'm enjoying this moment in your life with the term sliding door, but you kind of got the dream opportunity, I guess, in the fact that you were jobbing actor, your agency got you this role, and then boom.
Yes, it was. I mean, it was an unforgettable moment, really, in terms of shining moments of my career in the past. I was very lucky to have it, and I guess in a way, it was even more special because I did a lot of the work myself to secure the job, really. Which I don't mean to sound kind of boastful, but I was with a co-op agency at the time who were phenomenal. I learned so much being with them. I would really recommend co-op agencies for new graduates, actually. But I was the one who happened to put myself forward for it, and I really pushed it because they wanted something very specific. It said 6'5" plus, very skinny, with kind of stunt physical experience, as I mentioned before. So I kind of put myself up for it. I then sent the casting people some emails, which they responded very well to, luckily, and went in for this casting, which was this kind of half an hour workshop with this amazing creature actor called Paul Casey, who I'll come back to, being a vampire. So we just kind of workshopped being this horrible snarling beast, real kind of, not Dracula kind of vampire, as in real kind of bestial, primal monster who lives in a cave and chews on bones kind of thing. And then presented that to the producers, and then I got the role. And then, as you say, it was this just kind of catapult thing from having not really done any filming work at all, one or two student films maybe, to being on an enormous film set with hundreds of people, with real celebrities, and all these departments that I'd never really encountered before on screen. All my work before had been theatre work, so it was a brand new world. So yeah, it was kind of transformative in a sense. What was interesting about it is that I've always, from that point, told the story that that's what started the creature stuff, because then from then on, Paul Casey worked on a lot of the Star Wars films, and so that was my route into them. And because I'd done Penny Dreadful and I'd done lots of prosthetics, I then ended up doing lots more similar jobs. So I've always said that's where it started. But then in more recent years, thinking about it, actually, I think it, rather than it being where creature work started, it's where it kind of awoke the idea to me that this could be something that I could be quite good at and really enjoy. Because when I look back before Penny Dreadful, some of the things I actually did were already quite unusual physically, or, I mean, I did this strange job with these amazing Hungarian filmmakers where I was wrapped in green and I was a kind of android robot thing. That was a few years before. And even at school, not creature performing at all, but I did some odd roles, like I was in Animal Farm playing one of the pigs, and I, for my A level, did a play playing a 65-year-old man. So all these very like transformative roles where you really just kind of change yourself completely. I kind of look back and realized that those are the things I'd enjoyed the most. There was one at university where I played a man who'd been raised by pigs all his life and then was brought into a home for the first time. They'd never experienced clothes and food and cutlery and things. So I realized that those were the kind of roles that I'd enjoyed the most to both play and to watch, when you watch people who really transform as an actor, who are completely different every time you see them. And I guess that's maybe what really awoke, kind of retrospectively, the ambition in me to be that kind of actor where I could really transform, really change. And I think that's why I really enjoyed and enjoy the creature performing, and why I pursued it so fervently, because it made me feel kind of special. It was something I felt like I was good at. It was a little niche that I could really foster, really hone. But I mean, talk about transforming, is kind of the most you can possibly transform, really, when you're literally caked in makeup and suits, and you can become this whole new species creature that doesn't even exist, that someone else's imagination put on you. Yeah, so that's where that all kind of began, I think.
Okay, so that almost seems like one of those moments where others spot potential in you, and you look back and you go, oh gosh, yeah, they were right. You know, I've had several moments myself where you go, oh yeah, of course I wasn't right for that role. Oh yeah, I really was right for that role. And sometimes it takes an outside eye to do it. And I think about what when we were together, I cast you as a leisure manager in a swimming pool, wasn't it, in Icarus, bizarrely. So I was completely off. You should have been like the pool monster or something.
I think. Well, I think in a way it's to my detriment and my advantage as an actor. I've always struggled a bit to know what my place is in the industry, and you're taught so much. You need to know exactly who you are, where you fit, how to market yourself, what you want to do. And I've always really struggled with that. And that is to my detriment to a certain extent, because obviously if you know those things, you can really focus on what you want and reaching that. On the other hand, there have been times when, because of that nature, I've just been so open to anything that the most amazing experiences fall into my lap. The play that we met doing, I would never have predicted that I'd be suitable for that role, but it was such a good challenge, and I learned a lot performing wise as a professional actor. It was one of my first kind of theatre jobs out of drama school, about playing something I wouldn't have done before. And I think creature work does the same in a way. I guess what you said, that other people maybe saw the potential in my physical performance, which I'd never really considered, having no background in dance or contortionism or stunts and things. But I guess because of my physique, it was a potential that was there that I hadn't necessarily explored.
Yeah. So that's interesting then. So thinking, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to go back a bit. Go, what was your ambition originally, apart from being a biochemist? What was it? What was the kind of like, the stock 3 or 4 things you're like, okay, I want to be this, this is this, and I want to do this?
I don't know if my ambition was really to be a biochemist. Maybe I shouldn't admit that. I love biochemistry. I still love science, but science was always the hobby in a way, and acting was what I wanted to do. So I guess that's the first answer to that question, is I just wanted to be an actor. I think I always did, which a lot of people say that, but I was doing things from when I was 3 at school, and I just always had that sense that that's what I wanted to do all the time. Again, tricky to know. When I was at drama school, I very much wanted to be a theatre actor, and I loved Shakespeare. So I kind of liked like the RSC at drama school was my like ultimate ambition, my real goal, to do really meaty, exciting Shakespeare or classical theatre. But again, I thought about this a lot when I was preparing for this. Like, what was my ambition? What is it now even? And still, it's a little bit hazy, because I think my ambition isn't necessarily a set thing about who I want to be or what I want to do specifically, but more that kind of real thirst for just having experiences and challenges. I think that's what I really enjoy the most. What I really thrive on is being presented with a challenge that I just couldn't foresee, which is a tricky ambition to have, when you admit to wanting something that you can't foresee at all, because then how do you aim for it? But I think that's what I've enjoyed the most, things where I can surprise people and please people by doing something they didn't expect or didn't think I could do, and by pushing myself and doing something that makes people go, wow, is that you? Like, how did you do that? And I think that's what creature performing has given me, because people really watch it and they're like, how did you do that for 7 hours of makeup and then dancing in the desert with a suit of thing on, or moving in a way that people, that doesn't quite look like human, those kind of things.
So you're kind of, I guess your ambition is to be open to all possibilities in some
I
way.
think so. That sounds a bit washy, doesn't it? Because
I think that's great.
That's a bit like Miss Universe kind of answer, but I think that's what it is. I like to excite myself, and by doing so, excite other people. Challenge myself. I think that's what I like. I also like to work with lots of people. I know that sounds like not necessarily the most direct answer for a performer, but I just really I thrive on other people's imagination. I found that a lot at the moment. In terms of being creative, I'm most creative when I'm surrounded by other people who can kind of trigger it. If I'm just on my own, that's why I've never really done very well with writing, because I just can't seem to get anything out. Whereas when I'm with someone else and they present an idea, I'm then so inspired to kind of improvise it, or I see a sketch of their monster that they want to put on me, and then they do put it on me, and then I look at it in the mirror, and then I'm like, right, now I know how to bring this to life.
Right.
That kind of thing. So I love like drinking in on other people's brains, other people's creativity and imagination.
Yeah, like a lovely collaboration almost, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think we're like, I realize it's a bit wishy-washy, my Miss Universe terminology, but I guess what I mean is, like, for me, I tend to make, I usually want to make something. I'll have the idea of what I want to make, and then I have to find the medium for it, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of open to the medium. So like this now, I've wanted to have a continuous interview series with performers and artists and writers and producers. I've wanted to do that, and bizarrely, I thought, oh well, I'll just do it on Zoom. And it's worked out perfectly. I finally found the vehicle. Do you know what I mean? I could do it with you in your room, but this is super interesting right now because Zoom is, very accessible. So I think sometimes it's, for me, it's what interests me currently, and it'll be on film, maybe it'll be in theaters, maybe it'll be cabaret, maybe it'll be outside. Who knows? I guess it's that trying to ferret out the truth of what you want to make, I guess. But
yeah. And it's staying open to all possibilities, which again, that's a little washy too, because who doesn't really? But I think that applies to what I've done. I've just always tried to stay open to when the possibility of a job post has come up. I've looked at it and thought, I never thought that I'd want to do that, but maybe I'll just apply. And that's why I've ended up trying to do a little bit of everything where I can, really, where the opportunity's presented itself, because you never know what you might find that really alights something in you that you didn't foresee before.
So you were going to tell us about Paul Casey? Tell us about him.
Yes, Paul Casey is an amazing creature performer as well, and he's done lots of similar kind of work, but he also works a lot as a choreographer and a creature movement director, I guess is the term you could give him. So I met him for the audition for Penny Dreadful. As I say, he ran a kind of vampire workshop, and then I stayed in touch with him. And again, that was I guess that specific thing was a bit of a sliding door thing as well. My drama school was very good at teaching us how to make professional connections and how to professional development, they called it. So, market yourself as an actor, set up a theatre company, whatever it is you wanted to do. And with Paul, it was really the first time I put it into practice, because I made a point of thinking, this guy's career is fascinating and it's something I've never heard of, and maybe I want to do that. So I stayed in touch with him. I dropped him an email. I said, I'd love to have a chat with you about your career and what you've done. I've never heard of this kind of work before, and I'd love to know if it's something I could get into. And he was wonderful and really responsive, and we had coffee and a few conversations. And then, long story short, a few months later, it led to getting this mysterious phone call saying, can you come to Pinewood for a fitting for something which we can't tell you anything about and you can't mention it ever. and that ended up being the first new Star Wars film, and I was being fitted through a creature for that. And then because I'd done one of them, I ended up doing all 5 of them actually.
Mm.
So yeah, meeting him was a real. I mean, it's that mixture of just chance. You know, it's the luck that he just happened to be hired to do that workshop, and I just happened to get that audition. But also, I could have just met him that day and said goodbye and let it go, and then I probably never would have ended up doing half of the stuff I've done now. And that's another thing I've always really enjoyed and that creature performing allows, I think, is a sense of not control, but I like to be able to talk, meet new people, make new connections, find the work for myself. I've always really enjoyed that, and that is a little easier with creature work than regular.
Yeah.
It's like the world, I think.
I think that goes back to your idea about your ambition. In some ways, I think you're right. If it's nice to have an ambition for sure, but I think to be open to it, allow it to morph into other things. Because I think at first, like you say, you come out of drama school, whatever, and you're kind of taught to do these things work. And then when you get out there, you hope that you are going to organically kind of like sculpt your career as well as you learn more. Then you're going to choose, make different choices as you go. I think that's kind of what I'm getting from you. And now I'm thinking about my career. I'm like, yeah, of course it is that, because I wanted to be an actor all the time, and then I got really close to being in a West End musical for 6 months. I was like, oh my god, I really don't want that. But I knew that my mum wanted me to do it. But ultimately, I wanted to do other things, as well. And it just sometimes you need to go up to things and go, no, maybe not.
Exactly. Yeah. I think you just have to listen to that little voice, whatever you want to call it, voice in your head or feeling in your gut about what you want to do. And for me, I really like to work. I really like to be doing something. I really like to be busy. And the creature stuff is just, it's a very difficult career choice. It's a very difficult industry, as we've all heard many times and all know, in terms of having any kind of control or any kind of power. I mean, you mentioned in your interview with Matt, you talked about power a bit, and it's a difficult one as the actor, because you're, at the whim of lots of other people. Really, you don't really get to make many decisions for yourself unless you're creating your own work. And I guess the creature thing has given me a little bit of control over things, because it is a slightly smaller world, and it's given me an avenue to really market myself and say, this is something I do. Look at all these photos. Look at all these people I've worked with. And if you need a monster, here I am.
Yeah, you're a special.
On the other hand, then it creates tricky dynamics with the other side of acting, which is, regular acting that I like to do, and how the creature stuff has impacted that, which is a bit of an unknown, really.
So our last question, or kind of thoughts I'd like to hear from you, is there's a risk, isn't there, sometimes, when once you've done you've had a huge profile in a certain type of work, and how do you balance that? How do you, maybe you don't. Let me just rephrase this. So you've been a creature actor for quite a while, but you also have theatre experience. How are you going to navigate the rest of your career, do you think? How are you going to avoid, dare I say it, the horrible word of typecast? Not that I'm saying you will be, but there is always that risk in our industry that people will see you as a particular performer, a particular actor. And I'm not sure there is a formula, but is it something you've ever thought of, or is it something that you thought about how to navigate that?
Yes, a difficult one. I've thought about it a lot, and I still do. And it used to really worry me. Actually, it used to make me quite anxious, because I've always wanted to be an actor, and human acting, regular acting, whatever you want to call it, is always, where my heart lies, really, because I like to use my language, my voice, as well as just my physicality with work. So it is a difficult one. And quite early on with the creature things, quite a few people gave me a lot of warnings that really troubled me a bit, because they said, you've got to be careful. You're just going to be immediately typecast. It's going to close doors. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. However, I think the thing that saved me, I guess, was this sense that I just couldn't bring myself to turn down opportunities. I've just never been the kind of actor to say, no, I'm not going to do that, and just wait for something else, because I don't know we don't know what might be around the corner. And the opportunities I've got to have been phenomenal. The places I've got to go and the things I've got to do, and even just the footage of being the creature, I just look at it sometimes and I'm like, that's so cool. And if I don't get to do anything more, then I've got that at least. And I'd rather have that than the knowledge that I turned it down on the hope of waiting for something else. Being typecast is tricky. I think the industry is changing a lot, and I have talked to a few directors and casting directors and things about their thoughts on it. I think I will always be typecast to a certain extent because of the work I've done, but now I kind of have found my piece with that. I think I'll be typecast to a certain extent just because of my height. I'm pretty tall, and I think a lot of people would see that and be like, no, we can't really have someone that tall next to our lead actress who's over a foot shorter or whatever. So everyone runs the risk of being typecast in a certain sense, and I think you just have to kind of accept that and let it just fall off you and order off enough back and move on, and just use the very things that you're being typecast for, try and use them to your advantage. So again, I obviously the creature thing is one thing, but I would like to kind of try and use my physicality for, say, more comedy, physical comedy kind of thing on theatre or on screen. So yeah, it is a concern, but you just have to, it's that classic thing. You have to kind of embrace the things that you're being typecast for as your things that make you unique, your little USP, as opposed to seeing them as things that close doors for you.
Yeah.
And also every person, every casting director or producer or director is different. So one thing that one person says, absolutely no way, why would we want him involved? The next one might be like, oh my gosh, that's exactly why we would want them involved, because it's something marketable or new or intriguing or different that we considered before. So
yeah, if it helps, I never see you as a vampire. Who knows? And it's funny, in the same on my side of the fence, that I always call myself a director, but then I was finding myself artistically sidelined a little bit, because that term was too reductive to the way I was making theatre, because I was also writing and devising as well as directing and choreographing sometimes. So I ended up using more of the term theatre maker, and that feels much more safer to me. But I get that the industry currently doesn't always recognize that as a professional job. It's a little bit wishy-washy. I think things will change, but
it's yes, I read your blog post on that, and it's great, and it's difficult with this industry, like any industry, because we tend to talk. I've done it this whole time. You talk about the industry as this whole blanket thing, whereas actually it's made up of individuals, and what one person's opinion might be totally different from the next in terms of their view on the term theatre maker or director, for example. Someone might not get it at all, and the next one might be like, I know exactly what that means. And similar thing with actor and creature performer. Some people are really like, I don't know what that is, I don't understand what you've been doing. Some people are kind of like, you've been working, you've been on sets, you're still acting, in a sense, you're still performing. It's all relevant experience. So you just have to not give it too much sway, I think. Just do you. Again, listen to that voice in your gut or your head or wherever in your body you hear the voices.
Cool. Thank you very much, Robert. You're a star.
Thank you. Thanks for chatting to me.